Hello everyone, my name is Duray. I am the South African SEO, co-founder of Viaduct Generation, and I am here with another episode on The Wise Build Bridges. The Wise Build Bridges believe that in uncertain times, the wise do in fact build bridges. They share ideas, build connections, and help others grow. I am here with a special guest today, Daniel, marketing manager from Topan Group. Daniel, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, Derek. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks. Daniel, Topan Group, tell us, what is it that you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis?
Topan Group is a fencing and hoarding specialist focused on the tier one construction companies. Our focus is in building long-term relationship with the clients. It's not just what we want is have the client once sort their needs and then move to the next one. We believe that how difficult it is to win a new the client, and we want to build long-term relationship with those.
That's the dream, right, of any marketing manager. Have a customer that really loves what you guys do on the for a long period of time, so that we don't have to work on acquisition all day long. We can really kind of work on retention, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But you've been at Topan Group for 2 years. Am I right in saying that before this, they actually didn't have anyone in marketing?
You're absolutely right. Topan, before I started there, they didn't do any marketing. It was mostly by references, or they win a client and they refer to a new one. Yeah, they decided that they wanted to keep growing or growing faster, and that's why they brought me in. You actually can see the difference, not just the work done. I think it has been a team effort. Obviously, adding marketing to the equation of the whole company and the product, how is delivered, how is look after the client. Adding marketing to the equation has definitely boosted the business.
What's one thing that you may be particularly proud of, that the impact that you're trying to make, if we're going to get specific?
One thing that I'm really proud, and it's becoming even more obvious now because we are doing more campaigns in different areas, is that the clients of companies, that they are not clients yet, they are recognizing already our name. So at the beginning, it was for the salespeople, especially when they went call prospects, they were asked who they were. Now it's they recognize the name. I have seen you in this event, or I have received your newsletter, or I follow you on LinkedIn, or I have seen your website. So that's I'm really proud that the name is more recognized, and that's partially or in a big.
I think it's important for us to recognize that, right? And to celebrate those small wins, because oftentimes when a massive deal closes, everyone high fives the sales team and marketing is left there kind of with their hand up. So it's important that we take a moment to reflect back on our successes. So well done on that side. You've been there for 2 years. Congratulations. Now, quite often people will fall into marketing, is a term I've used. But would you give us a kind of a whistle-stop tour as to how you found yourself as marketing manager for Topan Group? What did you have to do prior to getting this job?
Well, I have been in marketing for 13 years. I worked in Spain for a good 2-3 years. Then I started my own company, providing marketing services to small and medium companies. And then I moved to the UK, and it was a bit like starting again, or starting from the beginning, marketing assistant, marketing executive through different companies. I would say I specialized, or I went into SEO, which was something that it really hooked me, and I found it so interesting, and it opened my eyes about how people perceive marketing as well. And then after, well, I arrived to Topan, and the growth was, I think, really good. And then I became marketing manager. So, and as you said earlier, I think sometimes we forget to celebrate the small victories, and it's quite important in a marketing career to not just take the responsibility when something goes wrong, but also when something goes well. Yeah, it was me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's super important that we do that. Tell me a little bit about SEO. You mentioned there that you kind of fell in love with SEO a little bit. Why is it so important that brands in this world that is constantly evolving, why should they still invest in something as kind of almost classic or timeless as SEO?
Well, I had the same question a few years ago, that why certain company had to use SEO. and if it was necessary or mandatory to use SEO. And I told her that no, it's not necessary. It's not mandatory. It's exactly the same as a car doesn't need 4 wheels to be on the road. Obviously, it's gonna go faster and better and safer with 4 wheels. Well, SEO is a way to put you in front of people that you might never thought that you could. An example for at Topan is we have reached people not out of our area of work because we work nationally, but people that we never even dreamed that we will get in touch with, and they saw us and then they went in touch with us. So I think SEO is, some people say that SEO is dead. I don't think it's dead at all. I think it's a powerful tool. And I'm not gonna say it's easy, but once you understand how it works, more than how it works, the possibilities that it has is really interesting, and it's something that you never should let in a corner. Well, we'll work on that later because I think it's really powerful.
So funny though, it's sometimes considered the ugly stepsister. SEO is considered the ugly stepsister of marketing, right? We've got paid, we've got PPC, we've got PR, and they all seem kind of wrapped in gold. And then there's just SEO, which is just like daily consistent grafting. And sometimes the value in that is lost. But I think what you say there is absolutely brilliant, in that SEO changes the game, whereby instead of you having to knock on so many doors or cold call or cold email or like outbound approach, focusing on that inbound approach with search at the helm means that you can really increase your status to a different perspective. If Mrs. Big Enterprise Company comes and knocks on your door, you have a different way of approaching that deal as opposed to you going and saying, please, can I have some of that budget? You know?
Exactly. I totally agree. And I think sometimes people can see SEO as ranking high, and that's it. And yeah, if my website is in the first position, it's high work. But it doesn't have to be necessarily your website. It can be a blog. It can be one subpage of your website, and that's what the client is looking for, and that's what they phone, and it's how or why they get in touch with you. So if it's seen as a quite simple thing, just ranking, then yeah, it's not necessary. But it has more behind that people don't see. And I think as a marketers, and especially those on SEO, I don't consider myself being on SEO anymore, even if I still do it, but it's necessary to explain what SEO is about to people, to understand that it's not just ranking or adding keywords or links to other websites.
I think it's also, I guess, heavily dependent on the other elements of your website, right? So if your website has got multiple calls to action, if it's got the ability for someone to subscribe to your newsletter, if it's got the ability for other people to engage and to filter their information for a lead magnet, and if there's a number of ways that my eyeballs on your website can actually support your sales team, and there's a number of ways that I can get in touch depending on where I am in that mark funnel, then the more value SEO is, right? But if you are essentially only having a buy now button on your website where you're asking people to take the final stage of consideration and purchase your product or even your service, then the value is probably less valuable in getting people higher up. Because sometimes I have conversations with prospects all the time where they're like, yeah, we've done SEO before and it does increase our leads, but we find that the quality drops. And I can see how that can happen, especially if you're not targeting the right keywords. You start getting inquiries for things that you don't really want to be dealing with. But there's always that reference back to that one or two big deals that were there, and weren't you there, they would have definitely gone to one of their competitors. So yeah, but this isn't a SEO podcast as much as we have done in the past. This is a podcast to highlight marketeers who are really focusing on building something worthwhile and building it in the right way. And I asked you a few questions previously about what are the key things that you think marketeers should be focusing on in this kind of new world that we are living in. What are some of the key aspects that you think marketeers should be focusing their time on?
One of the things that obviously has become very relevant lately is artificial intelligence. I think everyone at the moment is using it or is curious about it, and not just as a marketers. Out of the industry, there are people using it for everything: writing emails, create financial plans, or booking holidays. If you go on social media, you see reels from everyone teaching you how to do this, how to do that. I think it's a really, really interesting tool, as long as it's used properly. And one of the things that I think might be missing is to exactly that, using it properly. And I think it's quite important to ask the right questions or in this case, the right prompts to ChatGPT, Gemini, the one that anyone prefer to use. Because if you ask the right questions, you will get the right answers. Now, when I mean the right answers, I mean the more accurate or more tailored answers for your need. Let's say, for example, let's focus on. I don't want to focus too much on SEO, but I know that some people are using it for SEO audits to websites. You can say, okay, audit Topan's website, and they will find there is a fencing company, and they can give you, okay, you need to focus on content for houses. We don't do houses. We are a B2B company. So if you don't if you don't send the right prompts, it's not gonna get you the right outcome. And I think that's something that we are missing a little bit. It's good to create content, for example, and then you can adapt the content to your needs. Not just put the content there, oh, perfect, and just straight away goes to the website, for example. It's something that it needs to work. It needs to be adapted. In the Topan's case, for example, if we created a content like that, you will need to add this. Okay, Topan is a B2B company. We are focusing on these particular companies, for example, or in this particular location. So it's necessary to adapt the answers that they are going to give you, and for that you have to ask them the right questions. If that makes sense.
I think you're so right. I think it's so interesting in a world where maybe there's becoming an over-reliance on AI, where AI is going to be copying what's out there already. We've seen what's these massive publications becoming very upset with these LLMs and AI businesses, whereby they feel like they are plagiarizing their hard work and hard graft. They've been paying journalists for many, many years to create this bulk of content, and AI has come in and just copied them immediately. Now, if the bad marketing manager that hasn't had advice from Viaduct Generation or from someone like yourself, and it's just said, oh, you know what, I can create 12 blogs a day now utilizing AI. This is a 95% AI usage with a couple of changes here and there, an internal link chucked in. 95% of marketing managers think like this, which thank God they don't. But if they did, then AI would be getting advice and information and leaning on existing content, which is also created by AI. Where we've lost our ability to think for ourselves and to it's a crazy world that we're living in if we allow that to happen.
Absolutely agree, and I think that work that it saves you it should be, or it should go with some personal work as well. It's not just rely on, as you say, it's a snowball. If you create something that it relies on something that is not 100% true, and the next one is gonna rely on that is not 100, it's gonna be 98% true. At the end, we'll have a content that is gonna be 0% true, because it's a chain. So I think that AI is really interesting tool, but it also requires some personal work. So, dedicate some time to, okay, I have the idea, I have the main idea, I have some, even in my case, for example, like English is not my first language. It's a good way to get some sentence. It's a catchy phrase, but that I cannot rely 100% on that. And okay, from there, okay, I take this, I take that, then I use my experience, the comment of one client, and then you create a content that is relevant, has authority, and is interesting for the people or the potential clients that they are reading that content, for example.
Is AI the Chinese whispers of content?
I don't think. I mean, that's a really weird question. I wouldn't define like that, but it's true that it can make us a bit complacent and yeah, think that everything is done. It's gonna be easier. I can rely, for example, I was thinking about this morning. If I need to do a website audit, for SEO audit of the website, will I trust more ChatGPT or Screaming Frog? Put an example. And probably the things that you get from ChatGPT, it will be really interesting, and it will be close to some things that Screaming Frog can give you. But obviously, Screaming Frog requires more personal work, more learning, some experience, and see something. So I believe you cannot just say, I will trust what ChatGPT told me, and I don't need to do a Screaming Frog, because Screaming Frog is gonna give you things that you know about that website, that how people have reacted for very long time, and yeah, that's what is gonna make the difference. I'm not gonna call it that, but it's a good point.
Maybe it has the opportunity to be the Chinese whispers rather than it is. Daniel, we've got a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are marketing managers, a lot of people in the SEO space. And acquisition is a key focus for a number of us. It's a focus for myself, and it's a focus for a number of the people listening to this podcast, as it probably is for you as well as marketing manager. What is one bit of advice you would give to marketing managers that are really looking to improve the acquisition part of the business?
One advice that I will give to everyone, based on my experience, and that I remind myself as much as possible, is that it's quite difficult to win a new client. It's so easy to lose a client, and it's almost impossible to recover an old client. Focusing on customer acquisition, which everyone, as a marketing manager, I think marketing assistant, everyone should be focused on that. I think that should be the focus, and that should be hard work, but without forgetting that once that translates into a new client, we should look after the client, because once the client is gone, it's going to be really, really difficult to bring him back. And yeah, it's not just that. It's that also the investment that we have to do to gain a new client and then lose it is massive. If we want to recover that or re-win that client again, it's gonna be huge. A huge effort in terms of investment, financial, time, effort. So I will advise that once you have winning, which is difficult enough, just try to keep it.
You mentioned there that it really is important that we look after the client. In your lifetime in marketing, can you give us maybe one or two things that you've done that would surprise most people listening to this podcast about some of the things that you might have done to delight and focus on that customer retention element?
Yes, I'm going to give you two examples. One, they sounds negative, and one is positive. I will start with the positive because it's always easier. It was a client that it was a Topan actually. We finished the contract, the project that we were doing with them, and we include them in the newsletter. Simple is the easiest way. It's a really simple thing. We started a new external newsletter, and we include them in the newsletter, which obviously was a surprise for them. And it was a surprise for us as well, because obviously not everyone wants to be subscribed to a newsletter that they didn't ask for. But there are many of them that they don't unsubscribe. They keep doing because they know us, they have worked with us, they were happy. What happened? I think it was a couple of months ago. Some of them, they replied for another project that they had to that newsletter. So we had that client that we never worked with them before. We kept them on the newsletter. And when they had another project that they need fencing, they came back to us because they were on the newsletter. So that's a good example of how keeping the client, stay in touch is like having a friend. If you stay in touch with your friends, you always will have the relationship. And there was another one that was good few years ago. I was in a B2C company, fencing as well, and we had reviews, Google reviews. And probably now it's less usual, but years ago, having a bad review, it was a drama. It was an absolute drama. A bad review, and most people might be thinking we're going to close down because of this review. So there were so many reviews that if you face the reviews and you answer the reviews in a positive tone, in a constructive tone, in a no confrontational tone, you can turn that bad review into something good. I think sometimes that is important. It's just because something didn't go well, it doesn't mean that it has to end well. So yeah, that was another example of how people with bad experiences, and obviously you know how Google reviews are, that it seems like some people had a bad day and just put everything in there. You can turn that into a good situation. And it's a thin line between having a client that things didn't went well, and it's gonna be your worst enemy because it's gonna talk really bad about you, to listen, this went wrong, but they fix it, they sort it, they approach me in a constructive way, and that's a completely game changer.
We're not always going to get it right. A lot of us are in service-based businesses. I know SEO, sometimes you know as well. You can do all the right things, you can tick all the right boxes, but sometimes the results aren't quite exactly what you need. I think The one thing a past employer taught me was it's not always going to go right, but when it goes wrong, your ability to handle that and take responsibility and to still somehow save some face in circumstances where things are not going right really tells the difference, which I think is kind of not too dissimilar there to what you were saying. Um, Okay. There's a few people on this podcast that are in, shall we call it, quite not so niche spaces. They are in some what I would call crowded spaces, and they are selling something maybe less exciting. They are selling something in a saturated market, like myself. Maybe I'm in SEO. My mom today can decide, hey, you know what? I'm an SEO. There's no course she has to take. She just needs to be convinced herself that she's an SEO. Low barrier to entry, lots of people, high price ranges from the big boy agencies that are charging 1,500, 2,000 pounds a day, right through to offshore or freelancers that are 20 years old, right? There's a massive mix of people. How do people that are in those crowded spaces, how do they ensure visibility? What things can they do to improve their visibility when they are in such saturated markets?
To improve visibility in a crowded market or in a crowded niche, the first thing that you need is to be realistic and to know that there are, as you say, 1,000 people like you. Well, that's actually not correct. There are 1,000 people doing the same as you do. So the first thing I have, and I have had experience on that, as you say, SEO is probably the best example, 1,000 of people doing it, is try, fail, and try again. Never stop learning. That would be the first thing. But along that process, which is really important, I think the second thing, which is more important, is stay authentic. Be authentic and be authentic, because that's what it makes you different. Is the way how you approach, or is the way how you plan, or is the way how you present things, or the strategy that you make, or anything. You definitely have something different. So once you find that is different, don't try to see like everyone else. Stay as you are. Remain authentic, because that's what people, and that's not gonna work with for everyone. That's another thing. It's like being you. You are not gonna like everyone. Someone will love you. Someone will say, "Well, you are another one." Perfect. But those who love you, they are yours, and that's it. And then that will take us to the previous question. Once you have them, just keep them. So I think being authentic and always working and failing and trying again while being authentic, I think that would be the best advice that I have experienced and probably I will give to everyone.
So to summarize there, be authentic in who you are to really differentiate your USP, and then be okay with not connecting with some others, but connecting with people that truly will connect with you. And then just don't be shy of hard work, right? You've got to keep that process up. You've got to keep failing to keep succeeding and to keep learning. Have I got that about right?
Absolutely right. You have it absolutely right. You know Blue Ray, and Simon, the CEO, he always say that we don't want all the clients. You have to be able, you have to be honest about that you at some point you will have right clients, and there will be clients that they are not right for you, and it's totally fine. And some clients, they will like you, some ones they won't. So and that's totally fine. You cannot get into SEO, or you cannot get into marketing, or you cannot get into selling baseball caps and pretending or expecting that everyone is gonna buy your baseball caps. There will be people that they will buy yours. There will be people that will buy from other brands, and it's totally fine. You remain authentic, and that's what it will keep you in the market.
Nice. I really like that. And that's really useful. Thank you, Daniel. Tell me a little bit about what advice you would give to a younger audience. Sometimes we have CMOs listening to this podcast, directors of marketing, but sometimes we have marketing execs and marketing interns and marketing assistants and apprentices. And for those people that are starting their career in marketing, what advice would you give to them?
The advice for people studying marketing, and the advice that I will give to myself from when I started in marketing years ago, it will be to not be scared of failing. If you are scared of failing, you never will try things. And if you don't try things, obviously, you will learn. Failure is the best teacher that you can have. And I know sometimes, especially when you are in those initial steps of marketing assistant or executive, and you have to explain why you have failed, that is a really uncomfortable position. You have to go to your manager and say, you know what, I failed. It didn't work as I planned. I know it's probably one of the worst feelings in the world, but it's a good teacher. Obviously, it depends on how you face that situation as well. If you just go to your manager and say, listen, this is not working, then no, it's not. You're not going to learn anything. But if you go to your manager and say, this is not working, and I think it's not working because of this, this, and this, and I think we can do this, this, this to sort it. If you do that, you have learned. You have a new solution. You have a new strategy. You have a new plan, which is it's going to work. And if not, you're going to keep learning. And the most important thing, and again, because I think that's a feeling that I have had. So it's not. I'm talking from experience. Your manager is not going to tell you anything, or it's not gonna fire you. If you come with solutions, if you come with answers, most of the times they will tell you, yeah, go ahead. Or they will advise you, okay, yes, you can do this, change this, let's do it on this way. That's the way of learning. Because doing that, it means that you have gone through the situation, you have analyzed why it didn't work, you analyze the possible solutions for that, the possible outcomes with those new solutions, and it's totally fine. It's a really good way of learn and grow yourself and overcome any situations for the future.
So for those junior marketers out there who are worried that they have to be perfect, they're worried that they have to know everything, your advice is to appreciate and accept that they will fail, and that when they do fail, making sure that they come with their next steps to their manager, as opposed to just crying about it, but being like, okay, we failed here, but this is why I think we failed, and this is what I think we can do in the future to learn from it. And I guess it's all about enjoying that process too, right? And knowing that ultimately everything that we do and all the campaigns that we put together and the strategies that we put together, they might not fail. They might fail, but to actually enjoy that process and to be okay with it is what sets great marketeers apart from the good ones, right?
Absolutely. I think, and it's a really difficult thing to accept and assume that it didn't go well. It is something and it failed. It's difficult, but that process takes you to the point of thinking that perfection doesn't exist. You will have to be honest. Perfection doesn't exist. And if you aim for 100%, you will fail. You will fail to 10%. But if you aim for 80%, which is not perfect, you probably will get 70%. 70% is really good. If you go to anyone and say, be a manager, whoever, you say, listen, we have gained or we have achieved 70% of the goal that no one is going to tell you that you have failed. But if you aim for 100% and then you get 10%, yes, you have failed, definitely. Accepting that is nothing is perfect and nothing is going to work perfect. As you say earlier, you can go through SEO or anything, tick all the boxes. You have done this, go, with the book, and still it doesn't work. And it didn't go as you wanted. And it's how it is. It doesn't happen. It's not the end of the world. You just learn from that. You think about it. You reflect. You came out with new ideas. And next time it will be better. And it will be better. It never will be perfect. It will be better. Definitely.
I am constantly telling my team perfection is the enemy of progress, and that we shouldn't be focusing on trying to get things perfect, because they are constantly evolving and constantly changing up. Daniel, thank you so much for being on the Wiseville Bridges. I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been absolutely brilliant to learn from you. Is there anything that you'd like to say to close off the podcast? And if anyone really resonated with anything you said and wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I hope any of what we spoke today can help to anyone. I would be really happy. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Daniel Brum. They can find me there. They can get in touch. And if I can help on any way, or I will be happily to able to.
Well, there we go. To all those listening to the Wiseville Bridges, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was insightful, practical, and useful. Daniel, you were brilliant. Thank you so much for being on the Wiseville Bridges. And for everyone else, we'll see you at the next one. Cheers for now.
Thank you.